Story 1. My boyfriend cried in front of me for the first time, and it made me feel a type of way. Is this weird? Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy. Thanks. I've been with my BF for 5-ish years now. He's never been comfortable talking about his emotions. The only person he's ever confided in was his mother when he was a child, a teen. Some people refer to him as a robot. Obviously, in the past I'd expressed my desire for him to talk to me about things that are affecting him, but he just fobs it off. We've fought about it in the past, and he has said he just cannot get the words out. Earlier this week his family found out that his mother will be passing very soon, as in potentially a couple of weeks even. It came as a surprise to all of them. I asked for advice on another sub earlier in the week about how I can make him feel comfortable being vulnerable around me. I'm rather introverted myself, so I was worried I would mess it up. Some kind people commented other types of intimacy I could try instead of words. One that stuck out to me was offering to wash his hair. IDKY, just feel like I'd love if my partner offered to do it for me when I was feeling down. Well, when he eventually came home, he looked rough as anything. I'd already made dinner, so we sat down to eat it, but we pretty much ate in silence. He rarely even looked up from his food. I asked if he wanted to talk, and again he fobbed me off. Once we'd finished, I asked him if he'd like to shower with me. It would have been a couple days at least since he'd have been able to have one. I dimmed the bathroom lights and amp, put some relaxing music we both enjoy on the speaker, got the shower nice and hot, gently helped him undress and amp, had him sit on the bench thing under the water while I finished undressing. I joined him on the bench and slowly washed him everywhere, taking breaks to rest my head on his or whisper something to him. I spent a while massaging his head as I washed his hair. I kept kissing him on the lips, forehead, neck and amp, occasionally embracing him. Rubbed his shoulders and places I thought he'd be aching after being up and about for 2 days. There was nothing sexual about the atmosphere. It was a whole different type of intense intimacy. It's difficult to describe. He'd hardly said a word during all this, and he looked like he could cry any minute. I wasn't sure what to say. I didn't want to pressure him into anything, so I just looked him in the eyes, smiled, and said it's okay. Once we were done, we both sat there for a while on the bench under the water, not speaking, just enjoying each other's company. I kept running my hand up and down his back, across his cheek or head, just trying to make him relax as much as possible. Once I dried him and myself off, we got into bed and I stuck the TV on. I was half watching it and half playing with his hair. I asked if he wanted to talk about anything, and he shook his head. I could tell he was really upset despite him trying to hide it. Maybe 20 minutes later I could see him literally on the verge of tears. I rolled to my side and put my arms around him, pulling him into my chest. That's when he started. The tears began to flow and he sobbed and sobbed. He was squeezing me so tight sometimes it wasn't easy to breathe. I could feel the years of bottled up emotions flowing out. He continued crying harder and amp. It broke my heart. He didn't say much except something briefly about mum, but it was muffled. I felt so bad for him. I had some tears myself. I just held him tight and kept whispering how much I loved him, that it was okay, I'm here, I've got you, etc. Even when he eventually stopped sobbing, he continued to have his arms wrapped around me so tightly with his face buried in either my stomach or chest. I continued just comforting him until he fell asleep. Usually I don't like cuddling when sleeping, but that night I held him all night long. I just couldn't bring myself to let him out of my grip. It's hard to explain the way I was feeling during this, obviously terrible that he was going through this, but at the same time I was so happy, relieved. Is that weird? It was an emotional experience, seeing the guy you love more than anything show negative emotion on that level for the first time. I remember almost very detail of the night. It's etched in my memory. I haven't brought it up to him yet. I figured maybe it's best to let him talk about the evening when he feels ready. But then again, I also want to be able to tell him that it was okay and a good thing he did. I think he's a bit embarrassed that it happened, so don't know if he'll bring it up. I hope he does though. I've read some women say that once they've seen their man cry they lose attraction. It seems bizarre to me. If anything, I feel even more attracted to him than before. It's like it has amplified my love for this man. I never want to let him go. Thanks for listening to me. I'm sorry it's so long. I perhaps could have made it shorter, but I thought everything in here helps paint the best picture of the evening and therefore helps anyone in giving me accurate advice. I just needed to share it with at least one person, and there is no way I would speak to anyone we know IRL about my boyfriend's vulnerability. Story 2. I got a $2 raise and lost all of my government benefits because I make too much now to qualify. It's not enough to live off of. This really sucks. I know I'm going to get raked over the coals for this, and I'm really ashamed and honestly embarrassed as hell about this. I went from making $18 an hour and received a raise of $2.25 and now make $20.25 an hour. Under any other circumstance, I think most people would celebrate because yay, a raise. But because I received SNAP, Medicaid, and WIC for myself and my daughter, I had to notify my caseworker and got scolded by her for not informing her immediately when I received my raise. Now I'm worried I'm going to get in trouble with social services and received a letter in the mail earlier this week that my SNAP benefits went from $208 a month to $28 a month. I lost Medicaid because I am above the limit. The only thing I didn't fully lose was my WIC benefits. It's still not enough to live off of. My rent is going up $200 in April from $900 to $1,100. I have a one-bedroom apartment and still co-sleep with my toddler because I can't afford a toddler bed for her. That $208 a month I would receive in SNAP benefits is what really fed us throughout the month of shopping at Aldi and Walmart mostly. I buy the cheapest diapers and wipes, eat a lot of peanut butter and potatoes, and sometimes skip meals so my daughter has enough to eat. Only shower every other day to keep the water bill low. Keep our apartment at 66 to keep our power bill low. According to my caseworker, I should make enough to cover rent, electric, water, gas, trash, the list goes on and on. But I don't. I regularly have to juggle which utility can be paid, which can be put off. I have to calculate groceries down to the penny. My child's biological father doesn't pay child support and hasn't in months. He's currently in jail for sexually assaulting a minor. He was abusive to me, so it doesn't surprise me that he went after someone younger. Of course, his parents and siblings and friends are saying he's innocent because the child he assaulted looked older and he had no idea he is required to pay $80 a week in child support, but I might have seen that every other month, if I'm lucky. My caseworker knows he's supposed to pay, but he can't pay anything if he's in jail, so it's just sitting in arrears. He doesn't care about her and never did in the first place. I've done everything I can to keep her happy and healthy, but here I am, looking at lower paying jobs again just to get my assistance back. Yesterday I sent my kid to daycare like normal. Got a call on my lunch break that she was coughing and I needed to come pick her up because the woman running the daycare said it sounded like a wet cough. I had to leave work early and get a passive-aggressive "wow, your kid gets sick a lot, huh?" from my manager, which I don't blame her for. She doesn't have kids, but damn, it sucks. Whenever my kid is sick and has to have a doctor's note to go back to daycare, I get one for myself just so I'm covered. Pick my kid up and yeah, she's sick. She has a fever and a cough. Her pediatrician couldn't see her because they had no sick appointments available and the on-call nurse said to take her to urgent care. Spend almost 2 hours waiting to be seen at urgent care and failing to keep a mask on my toddler. When the doctor saw her, he said it was a chest cold and there was nothing to really be done besides giving her fluids, mids for her fever, and recommended over-the-counter cough medicines for her. Said to take her back to her pediatrician if it got worse or if her fever spiked to 104. We ended up being at the urgent care until after 7 p.m. and I went to Walmart to get her medicine. At this point, my daughter was tired, cranky, coughing hard enough to constantly drink out of her water bottle. She looked and felt miserable. I had less than $30 in my bank account until I get paid again, and that's when all of the bills are due. The Zarbee's cough and mucus was nearly $20 for the night and day to pack, or almost $13 for just the daytime pack. My daughter was going in between coughing and crying, ripping her mask off, practically going feral to get out of the cart, and I was getting nasty looks from others because I know how awful it is to take a sick kid out, but I didn't have much choice. Couldn't leave her in the car for fuck's sake. I just got so overwhelmed, put the Zarbee's in the cart and grabbed other few groceries we needed. Just a few things to get us through until my WIC reloads. When I went through self-checkout, I just didn't ring up the Zarbee's because I couldn't afford it. I just sat my other bags on top of the box and walked out feeling like I was sweating bullets the whole time. I still feel so guilty and gross, and felt even worse when we got back home and I had to practically force my daughter to take it. She ended up spiting over half of the medicine back out, all down her shirt, and tried to wipe her face, which got the medicine in her hair, so she had to get a bath. Ended up giving her another half dose in the bathtub while she cried and had a fit to get out because all she wanted was uppy. I just cried along with her because I felt so bad for her being sick and miserable, and mad at myself that I had to stoop so low. I know Walmart isn't going to hurt that much over some Zarbee's, but I've never stolen anything in my life before. I shouldn't have to do this. I am straight up terrified of going back to that Walmart, and my stomach turns into knots when I think about it. The welfare cliff really fucking sucks, and I wish I could be happy about getting a raise and making slightly more money, but now I'm just feeling down and low and shitty. It shouldn't be this hard to provide for my child. It shouldn't be this hard to live, period. Her cough is getting better, so I'm hoping I can take her back to daycare on Monday with the note from the urgent care doc, but I am just so tired of struggling and having anxiety nightmares about which bill's gonna get paid this time or not. I just want a little breathing room and to wake up one morning feeling okay and not a pit of despair in my stomach. I know I'm not alone in feeling this way, but damn, it would be nice not to worry or stress for just a few goddamn days.